we're going to start by looking at how you use the Campervan template. So this is one of the windscreen parts, and we are going to make the other side. So you want to work back to front, because you can see the windscreen part, you need a left and a right side, so you need to do them both the wrong way around. So if I flip those, you'll be able to see that that's the one that goes next to it. I'm going to position that in the middle. I've cut a generous 1/4 inch around the outside, and then the next step, for this you're going to need a steam iron, or at least an iron that has a water jet on it. So I'm going to just wet the fabric using the iron. I'm going to place the template in place. You'll see I've just got a little line mark there just to make sure that I get both of those nice and even, because this fabric's actually got a gradient on the front of it. And I'm going to tuck that over. I'm going to start on the edge first, and just fingers out the way. You hear it just evaporating and steaming that water off. And then I'm going to come to the corner. Just move this one out of the way. Move to the corner and just work my way around, slowly pressing these into place. And the extra water that you've applied, when that actually steams off, that's what's going to help hold the fabric into its new shape and into its new position. So one of the advantages of working applique this way is that you get a really nice, crisp but folded edge. And that folded edge is what's going to allow you to do other techniques, and it's not going to fray as much when you use your satin stitch as well. So I'm gradually working my way around, just turning as I go, catching the fabric under the front of the iron and slowly working my way around. Once I've gone all the way around, I'm going to flip it over. I'm just going to press it on the right side very quickly, turn it over, take the plastic out. You want to do that quite gently because you don't want to disturb too much of your pressing there, and then just quickly repress those corners. And it is a press situation, not a wiggle situation with these templates. So that last corner, and that will give me my 2 Campervan windows. With the circles where you've got quite tight turns, you actually want to do a little bit less of an allowance on these, because that's going to help you to fold them in. These are all still external curves. You will come to internal curves where you need to snip into the fabric, but for these tighter ones you just need to leave slightly less of a seam allowance. And then it's exactly the same process where we add some water. Now you can use spray starch for this as well, that works really well as well. Pop that in the centre, and then keeping my fingers well out of the way, just use the tip of the iron to gradually work your way around, pushing that fabric into place. And it is, as I said, a press situation, not a wiggle situation. And you can lift it, turn it round as you go, and you can hear that water kind of steaming off with the heat of the iron. And when I'm ready to take it out, I'm just going to gently lift up the edge, slide that template out, put it back onto its back, and then just give it one final press. The last bit I need to show you is how to do the internal and external pieces. So if I pop that template onto there, these are what we'd call internal curves, and these are worked slightly differently. So one at a time, you are going to just add a few little snips into the fabric, and that's going to allow it to bend. So I can now add a little bit of water to that. place my template back into place, and just those little snips just allow that fabric to move and bend around that internal curve. Now the same can be done with the inside of those windscreen pieces. If you want to cut those out, you absolutely can, or you can just lay your other pieces over the top. Now we're at the other side. I'm going to add a few little snips into there. And repeat that same process of folding them over and pressing them in place. When I get to this tip here, I can simply cut off the excess there and make sure that it's hidden behind the front. It's time to start assembling. So we're going to take the base piece of the campervan, and then we're going to start building the other pieces up on top. So we're going to take them and just place them where they need to be. Now you can refer back to your template for this, because that will have all the locations of where you need to place everything. And everything does have this little gap between it, so you can see that background through. Oh, I haven't taken the template out of this one, just give me a second. You can see your campervan builds up really quickly. Now the advantage of using the folded method for applique is that you don't need to put a really heavy satin stitch on there. You can simply top stitch these into place. When you're stitching these pieces on, don't be afraid to hand turn the machine. If you're in quite a tricky spot, or you're not that confident that you have the control of your machine with the foot pedal, then there's absolutely nothing wrong with using the hand wheel to get around those tricky spots. The only thing you need to remember is, if you are going to do that, just keep an eye where the needle is going, because when you're hand turning it, sometimes if you don't stop it right at the top or bottom of its cycle, then you may have a little bit of a struggle on your hands getting the thread to run through the machine properly. So just keep an eye on where it's coming through, and then once you're back on the straight, you can go ahead again with the foot pedal. Once you've assembled your van, then we can look at the next project where we add it to the background.